Everybody, welcome into today's show here on JTV. It is Hump Day. It's Wednesday. That's Adam. I'm David. Thank you, the Insurance Circle Agency. We are continuing our countdown to kickoff for JTV's 26th high school football season. Coming up on the show today, you're really good. We got another Media Day interview to show you. Later in the show, Columbia Central head coach Dylan Zaborowski going to have one of his players with him as well. But before the Columbia Central interview, we got JTV sports commentator Josh Burgett back with us on the show today.
Back in the studio.
Talk football, and we'll see if he has a comeback year in the fantasy league.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about fantasy on the air, but I would love to have had a discussion about that because we gotta take down Noah. We got to find a way to take down
He's
Noah.
won the last 2 years in a row.
I know.
How?
It's crazy.
I don't know.
I know.
But before we kick off the show, because we got a lot to talk about with Josh.
Packed.
Yeah. Before we do that, some baseball news, high school baseball news in summer, I know. Jackson High School has announced Chenier Trice as the new Vikings varsity baseball coach. You may, if you go to our Facebook page or Jackson Public Schools Facebook page, there's a press release on him with a picture of him as well. He's an MHSAA official. I've seen him at quite a few basketball games. He was the JV coach for Jackson High, but now he's taken over varsity, and he's taking over for Chris Hoover, who is now the athletic director for Jackson High after Greg Marsh retirement. So congratulations, Chenier Trice, leading the Vikings baseball program next year. Also, after we'll talk to Josh Burgett, we've got a Media Day interview with Columbia Central, and then to end the show, I'll tell you about the next step on the Jackson Junior Golf Tour. So, without further ado, we'll take a quick break. We'll come right back. Josh Burgett will be with us. Stay tuned. Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. I'm David Rice. That's Adam. MyInsuranceCircle.com. Joining the show now, JTV sports commentator, Napoleon High School softball coach. Just finished year one with the Pirates, Josh Burgett. Josh, thanks for doing this again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure, David. Good to be with you. Adam, good to see you.
Hey. Just wrapped up year one, Napoleon softball. Before we get into football, quick thoughts after year one. You've had a full year now to get yourself comfortable and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a phenomenal year. Great group of girls, tons of support from the administration, our boosters. It was great, and great coaching staff. So I mean, it was just incredible. And honestly, it came up a lot at our football media days where I was able to talk to a number of coaches entering their second season and just kind of talking about kind of just relating to that of how much more prepared you can be and how much more prepared the girls can be going into a second year compared to the first year, is because it's just that first year is new for everybody. But yeah, it was really an incredible season and just created a level of joy and something that I've just never had. And so really looking forward to this year.
Yeah, I gotta imagine some of the other coaches with advice helping you out helped tremendously too. I know after you first got the job, you were on the morning show, and you mentioned Roger Cook was one of the biggest people helping you with that move.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the first people I talked to actually before I even took the job. And Roger, obviously, great success at Grass Lake. Incredible year for the Warriors this year as they won their state championship. And so proud of Roger and what that program's been able to do at Grass Lake. And honestly, I think every coach in the area would tell you that's what we aspire to be. We aspire to have a program that can compete like that every single year, and we aspire to win state championships. So just excited to continue to put the building blocks on to build a program like that.
Well, last week we had our 2025 JTV Football Media Days, another couple of great days. Good to see it's always fun to see all the coaches again, some new faces, maybe a couple of kids coming back. Each year you get a different group of kids for most teams that show up. So it's good to see all the coaches and all the kids and everybody again.
Yeah, and it's two of my favorite days of the year. It's one, just we start almost every conversation with it is, we're talking football again. So it's just great to be, these young men have been playing all summer long. They've been preparing for the season. And we hit them at a great time. They're just before they enter dead week, so almost all their summer practices are complete. They're going to take a little break, and then they go into fall camp. So it's a great time to talk and learn about what they've learned over the past 6 months or so as they prepared for the season. And then I personally, my favorite part is always the coaches and talking with them, connecting with them, because we've all of us at JTV have built some really special relationships with coaches across our area, and it's just always great to hear their feelings on the year, learn about their off seasons, what did they learn about the previous year, because most of them we don't get to talk to after the year.
Right.
Herb at Lumen Christi, we've had a chance every year to talk to them at the end of the year because they're winning a state championship, but typically we're only talking to the winning coaches, and so you don't get that opportunity to kind of, okay, what did the season mean to you? What did you learn? What are you going to implement next year to improve? And so it's just great to kind of be able to catch up and learn all those things.
Well, jumping right into it, Cascades will start there first. My first, I don't know if I'd call it questions, but like keys for this season is the Cascades West. To me, I think it's wide open. Hanover lost a few key weapons. They have a great running back, Austin Hocker, coming back. He'll only be a sophomore, so they'll have a good backfield. But they have some spots they needed to replace. Can Columbia Central? They lost a lot of close games last year. Can they get over that hump? And then don't forget about Jonesville either. So I think first Cascades West to me is wide open right now.
I would agree with you. I think it's wide open. I think it starts with Hanover Horton, right? They won the West last year. Somebody's got to knock them off. I mean, but if you're looking for the teams that I would look at the top, it's Hanover Horton, Jonesville, Columbia Central. And I think Hanover Horton comes in probably with the strongest. I think we'll learn a lot about Columbia Central that week 1 game against Napoleon. How they're able to handle Napoleon's physicality, I think will teach us a lot about Columbia. And if they do well in that game, that might change my opinion on their aspects and what they look like the rest of the year. Jonesville also, they return quite a bit as well, but they return 5 stars on both sides of the ball. Frank Keller in his 9th season there for Jonesville, they were 5-4 last year. You got to remember those 4 losses all were 1-score games. So we know they're going to be talented. But when you just look at Hanover and what David Messer is building out there, 8-2 last year, 8-1 in league play. They lost to Leslie in the championship. They've now and lost in the playoffs against Union City. They're still looking for that first playoff win, and I think that's something that this team and this program has circled is they're becoming a better, more consistent team. They've made the playoffs 3 times now since 2014. But they want to get that first one. And, Coach Messer has really challenged them with that. Like, if you're going to be special, he said this, if you're going to be special, you have to do it again. Last year can't be a fluke year. And I kind of love that. They've done a lot of work this year on culture building. They went to a Trine University team camp. They said that helped them a ton. Has also helped them run their offense a little bit better. He's more excited about their offense. And he just gives this senior class so much credit, talks about how special of a class they are, what leadership they show, and they got a great team, class GPA. So he's excited about the senior class coming back. And so I until somebody can beat Hanover, I think you got to look at them as the favorite in the West.
Well, and I like that Coach Messer said, too, that this was the best summer he's seen so far, too, since being at Hanover. That's another huge thing for him. And he's only going into year 4, right, with Hanover. And with Jonesville, too. I know Frank Keller's been there longer, but same thing with Jonesville, Columbia. I think they're both tough losses, 1-score games. Columbia lost both games to Napoleon by single digits last year. But right now, to me, too, I would say Hanover is still the favorite out of the West until somebody beats them. And then will Leslie take the East again, and will they go back-to-back? I would still have them as the favorite for the whole conference until somebody beats them.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you, and that's Tim McCann's doing a really good job over there. He's in his 3rd season. Last year, 10-2, and they got a district championship, lost to St. Mary Catholic Central in the regional, and they return a lot off a really quality team last year. They returned 7 starters on offense, 9 on defense, and they're going to be tough. They're going to be quick, and they're going to be very difficult to defend, which will be a challenge, I think, for most of the teams. The team, when you look on the east side, that has me intrigued is a team like Michigan Center. And we've seen this team on paper the past couple of years, we're just like, this is a really quality team. They were plagued by injuries last year. They return 8 on offense, 8 on defense. They bring back their entire offensive line. I am really, really intrigued to see this team and how they can do. They were 4-5 last year. Again, talking about the injuries. Can they flip that? And is that a very different football game, what they did against Leslie last year? Now, what they really struggled with was they got really handled by Napoleon. And when you talk about another team on the East that you got to look at, it's Napoleon. And they have implemented the power T offense. And we heard a number of coaches talk about defending that and the physicality that Napoleon now plays with. They really have kind of become what Addison under Josh Lindeman used to be, and where teams just always knew they were in for a fight. I'm really curious to see how Michigan Center, who really struggled against that last year, what adjustments have they made to be able to defend that? If they can, they have great athletes. They have really good skilled players. They return their quarterback who got injured last year. They should be a team that can compete with any team in the conference. So I'm really intrigued to see those 3 teams, Leslie, Napoleon, Michigan Center, when they face each other, how are they going to look? And I'll say Napoleon too, just that Columbia Central, and what we're going to learn a lot about them. I think we'll learn a lot about Napoleon. How do they handle speed and skill guys? Because Columbia's going to bring that.
Well, and Michigan Center 2 years ago lost by 1 in the first round of the playoffs, Lansing Catholic. They had a couple big injuries 2 years ago, and then last year 4-5. More injuries, especially later in the year, missed the playoffs. Center's got a great coach, Troy Allen, good coaching staff, and they've got a good program. So I think this got to be a turnaround year for them.
I think so, and when
but it's just going to be tough. It's tough both sides of the Cascades.
And we said that to so many coaches. Like when you go up and down the schedule, there's just no easy games.
Right.
We have a couple teams that are rebuilding, but outside of that, there are not very many easy games, and there's some really tough games for Michigan Center when they look at their schedule and how they're going to match up. But there's also, you look at it and you say they could be the favorite in every single game they play on the regular season. And so if they can stay healthy, if they can be strong up front, I feel like they should be able to compete with anybody, including a team like Leslie, who brings back so much off of an already really good team last year.
Well, and I mentioned them earlier too, but back to the West here for a second. Columbia Central, and that was the biggest thing that Coach Saborowski pointed out the most talking to him is those handful of one-score games, very close games that they lost, just couldn't get over the hump. And, the 2 of their wins were, against Addison by 30, and then which there was still a 4-5 team that made the playoffs. But that's, Addison's Division 8 as far as their points doesn't really help Columbia's case, but then Addison and Vandercook were 2 of their wins, but then they just can't get over that hump. So I feel like they're in the same boat to me as Michigan Center is. If they got to do it, you know what I mean? It's just they got to find a way to finish those games. If they want to beat Hanover, if they want to beat Jonesville, they got to do it.
For Columbia Central, I almost look at them more as a culture issue that they need to work on and fix. Like you think about what Columbia Central used to be. You think 10 years ago, this team hasn't made the playoffs since 2020 when everybody got in. And they've had good athletes, they've had good teams, and they just haven't been able to win. Dylan Zaborowski is a good coach, good offensive mind. You hear kids talk about him. He's a good coach, and other coaches in the league respect him. And I think his challenge is getting this team to believe they can win. And not going into that game against Napoleon thinking, we've lost 4 straight. They're tough, they're physical. We want to beat them because they're Napoleon. No, try to just win the game. And we heard
whoever you're playing.
Yeah, and we heard that was a great comment that we got from Stockbridge thinking about the Leslie game, and I loved that when they just talked about I care more about winning the game than I do beating Leslie. And I think if Columbia could take that kind of mindset and just start to believe in themselves and become a winning program again, I think it would mean a lot. Because I think this team has everything you need to win. I think they have, they're going to be a little undersized up front, but they are going to be fine on the offensive line. They're going to be good at the skill positions. I think they've got a pretty good defense coming back. If they can get to the point where they can believe in their coaches and believe in themselves, I think this team could go far.
Quite a gauntlet of a schedule to start, too. We talked about it already on the show last week for Lumen. What a schedule to start for them. They're at Montini Catholic in Illinois, week 1, defending Illinois state champ. Week 2 and 3, they host here. Week 2, D5 champ Pontiac Notre Dame. And then Grand Rapids Catholic Central, who was a semifinalist. What a way to start for them.
Lumen's an interesting one this year. I mean, and we can have a lot of fun having a conversation around them because they returning 3-time state champion, really talented team, but they turn over so much.
Yeah.
And they only bring back 1 starter on the offense, and I think they bring back 6 or 7 on the defense. But it's a real challenge for this team because their schedule is so ridiculously hard. Their Catholic League schedule is already difficult when you think about what they're going to have to go do against U of D Jesuit, Divine Child, and Toledo St. Francis. I mean, tough teams already. But then you add, I mean, really all of their non-conference games. So you talk about what they got coming up to start. Their first 3 games are a hot mess. I mean, those 3 teams are ridiculously good and going to be a great challenge for a fresh, young team, right? But then they go to the back end of the season, and you got Newmarket Huron Heights, which is a team from Canada. And talking to Coach Brogan, they're kind of in the same boat that Lumen was. Nobody up in Canada will play them. This isn't the team that they played from Canada last year. Right? This is a much more talented team that they're going to have to play. And then you got TC St. Francis. Think of this. Traverse City St. Francis may be the worst team from a non-conference perspective on their schedule. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that is so
to
nuts.
have St.
That's
Francis.
crazy.
That is so nuts.
Yeah.
And let's be clear, TC St. Francis is a really good team, and expect them to make a deep run in the D7 playoffs. But that's kind of what you're looking at for a schedule like this. So I think a unique stat about Lumen Christi this year, if they can make the playoffs, which it's a legitimate if, right? I think they could have.
And I can't believe that's even a thing we're discussing.
Right.
I think they could have the worst record of any team in the area that makes the playoffs, and I think they could go further than any team in our area in the playoffs.
Wow.
Which is just kind of crazy to think about, but I believe it. I think this team will be so tested that if they can get to, and you don't know how many wins they're going to need, but even if they have a losing record, they likely can get in 3-4 wins probably with this schedule will get them in the playoffs. And
because of the points and how heavy their schedule is.
And if they can get in, I believe they can be a contender in D6 because this team will have learned a lot about themselves. They will have grown. And I will still say they return 1 starter on the offense. This team, when they show up, still looks like a Lumen Christi team. Mm-hmm. So they may be rebuilding, but when they show up at Media Day, they look the part. They're bigger and look more physical than all the other teams that came in to see us. I mean, they just look different and look like Lumen Christi teams usually look. So I believe, while you may not know a lot of the names, I believe they're still going to have a lot of talent. We know they're going to be well coached, and give this coaching staff 9 weeks with them and all this experience from the teams that they're going to play. I think they're going to be really tough if they can get the playoffs.
Well, they'll have only 1 starter coming back on offense, Antoine Baker on the line, but they'll have a new quarterback, new running back, and there's some guys that played last year maybe on defense or didn't start, but they have guys who have had playing time, but they haven't started in that position, so it's still a new thing, and every couple of years you get, kind of a new-ish group, a new quarterback, whatever it might be. But I remember then we had it live on JTV a couple years ago, that St. Francis game at Lumen, and then they ended up playing them a rematch in the state championship. But I remember they started 0-3 a couple years ago after this was the last year of the I-8. They lost to Hastings the week after. And same thing, we're sitting here having this discussion. I'm like,
remember.
They're 0-3. Like this, and obviously they turned around, second half adjustments like they usually do, and they won the state championship.
I was the person that was telling everybody, I was like, don't panic. I was like, no need to panic with this team, and especially when you looked at the rest of the schedule. I'm like, it was a manageable schedule from that point on, but we knew going into that year, like, these first few games are tough just like this year.
Yeah. So I think it could be the same thing. I'm not going to say now that they'll, start 0-3. We're still, having the start of the season, but those 3 games, though, are just even tougher right now than those 3 games they had, a couple of years ago when they started.
Yeah, but in talking to Coach Brogan, right? I mean, like, let's be real. They are likely, if you just on paper, pick a favorite. Let's go Las Vegas style. Pick a favorite. Probably 2 games on their schedule. They're the favorite.
Right.
And so it will require a ton of work from the coaching staff and the players to go out and improve and outplay their opponents, which they're going to have to do because they are not, like typical, they are not walking in with the favorite team, right? And just so maybe that will change at the end of the year. Maybe this team grows into something that just it's not. But as of today, and I think their biggest question mark, and when you get out there, like you talk about quarterback Benny Gaston, he played a few snaps last year. I mean, so we've seen him. Same thing at the running back position. I think their biggest question marks are going to be on the offensive line.
Oh, yeah.
And how does this team, we only bring back Antoine Baker, he'll be the anchor, and he's a great tackle. He's a great anchor for that offensive line. But how do they adjust and how do they come together as a unit? I think that'll be key for them. If they can get successful offensive line play, I think their season will turn around and be pretty successful for them. I think that's really the big question mark.
Yeah, and especially without that O-line, if they do their job, plus with the new quarterback, if you don't have that O-line ready to work and do their thing, plus with the new quarterback and some of the new skill players, you know what I mean? It's just going to be, will the coaching staff, and I'm confident they will, but will they get them after these first 3 weeks, get them to gel together and to keep going with that schedule?
Yeah, I think that's a big key. And you think about Montini Catholic. I was just thinking in my head. One thing I didn't even realize, we know they're a state champion last year. Coach Burgett talking about, just from a recruiting standpoint, their quarterback, number 5 quarterback in the country, right? So they know they're going to face right away a quarterback who's going to throw it around on them, and they're going to face a really tough team. So I think just how they learn from these multiple games early on, and we know they told us they have Notre Dame circled. Their only loss on the schedule last year. They want to get that one back against a really quality opponent there. So it'll be interesting to see how this team can react in those first 3 games.
They were winning in that game, too, against Notre Dame, and then Notre Dame scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to come back and beat them. So that was almost a win on their schedule for them last year, but because of how that game ended, they're going to, obviously have that game circled now going into next year. 2 new head coaches this year in our area, East Jackson, Chad Duffing, and then Cody Bentley taking over for Nick Rulowitz, which, by the way, Coach Rulowitz, excellent job that he did with the Western program.
Well, I mean, they've just done such a tremendous job building a culture out there. I mean, you got to think this program, going back even to Dave Misfit, right? And Coach Rulowitz would give him a ton of credit as well. I mean, they've made the playoffs 8 straight seasons. This team, this program, has become a fixture in the MHSA playoffs, and that's the expectation now. I remember, JTV was covering it when that was a hope at the start of the year, and now it's an expectation. I will say, ton of credit to Cody Bentley. Like we see through our experience here, we see a ton of first-year coaches come in, and how they talk, how they show up, is always unique. And it was great to see Cody Bentley and how he handled media day. I thought he was very poised and felt just ready for the moment. He's not new to coaching, obviously. He was a defensive coordinator at Western for 4 years prior, was a DC at Homer prior to that. But I thought how he handled himself and how he handled his team and the comments that we got from his players about him and his coaching style, I don't expect to fall off out at Western. I think it's a really exciting time for Western Panther fans, and I think Cody Bentley is going to do a great job.
Yeah, and last week on the show from Media Day, we had a interview. We got a chance at Media Day to talk to Coach Bentley, so you can check out that interview online. Also, another one that's always interesting to me the last few years, Northwest going into this year.
Yeah, first of all, Stafford's doing a tremendous job out there.
Yes.
Head coach Stafford Newsom is entering his 4th year. His first 2 seasons, they went 5-4, which winning records were not something that happened out at Northwest. And he did a tremendous job in his first 2 years getting a winning record. Didn't make the playoffs in either of those years. They haven't made it since 2020, again, when everybody made it. But 3-6 last year, a little bit of a fallback, but they bring back quite a bit, right? They bring back 6 players on offense. They bring back 8 players on defense. When you hear Stafford talk about his team, he feels very, very confident about this group. They play in a tough conference, so it's questionable how many wins you can add up in the I-8. But he feels that they've had the best 7-on-7 since he started. Feels really confident that they can pass if they need to. He certainly wants to be run first, but feels like they have the ability to pass if they're going to have to. And what I loved hearing is just how much they talk about the program numbers and how many more kids are coming out to play football, and gives a ton of credit to the senior class, how they talk about this coaching staff and their football experience and how much they're enjoying it. So more student athletes are coming out to play football. So you just love seeing that some of the best athletes in Napoleon are choosing to come out and play a fall sport. They're playing football instead of not doing anything. So I love to see that. But, I think we're going to learn a lot pretty early on when it comes to Northwest of what this team can be, because I would love nothing more. I would love nothing more than to see this team in the playoffs, because Stafford's done a tremendous job and these kids deserve it.
Week 1 on JTV Thursday the 28th, and I just like he mentioned earlier, I can't believe we're talking football.
It's so awesome
Already.
Yep.
With week 1 just in a few weeks, but we'll have live on JTV Jackson High at Parma Western. That is going to be a packed house, by the way. Not only a season opener, but you get J High, obviously, one of the biggest school in the area, with Western, who's probably the second biggest. You get those two together, big non-conference game week 1. I'm looking forward to this. They've played that playoff game a couple of years ago, depending on what school you're rooting for, controversial ending. But looking forward to a rematch from the playoffs a couple of years ago. And what a great way to kick off the year.
I was just going to say the same thing. I cannot draw up a better week 1 game to be live on JTV, and quite frankly for both of these teams, because both of these teams have question marks. And I think it's a great challenge. Jackson is a great challenge for Western, and Western is a great challenge for Jackson, for these two teams to see where they're at and to kind of challenge some of those question marks. Jackson, they've been in a bit of a rut, and you can start as early as last year when you look at them winning the first 4 games of the season and then losing 6 straight to end the year. Real challenge for them. But they returned 6 on both sides of the ball. This team has made the playoffs 6 of the last 7 years. Coach Antonio Parker is doing a tremendous job with this program. But we're going to find out very early what this team is made of, because we talked about a tough game against Western, and they host Chelsea at home, and then they got to travel to Pinckney. So that first 3 weeks for them will be really, really challenging, and that's no different for Western when you think they have a tough opponent that's coming to their place in Jackson, and then Traverse City Central the next week. And Western 6-4 last year. They lost in the first round of the playoffs. We talked about them making the playoffs for 8 straight seasons, but there's a lot of new faces. They only returned 3 players on both sides of the ball. And that will be the challenge for Coach Bentley and his staff, is how do you bring all of these guys together? Program numbers are great for them. They're doing really good. I think it was 80, 85 in the program. So tremendous numbers out of Western. But they're going to see a lot of new faces. And how can you get those new faces to play Panther football?
Yeah, Jackson was, maybe out of all the teams, I would say, was probably the most interesting season last year. It started 4-0. Then 4-5. We did that game later in the season on JTV against Chelsea, and it was a shutout, but also it was a really good Chelsea team. But I'm not sure what it was, and maybe you have an answer, maybe not. But what do you think the key was, or what changed? Because they started off really good. They were 4-0, then 4-5. 2 of those games were not good at all, and then they lost the first round of the playoff. What do you think changed in that back half?
Well, they had a number of injuries, so that's certainly part of it. I don't like to hang the hat on injuries altogether, right? I mean, that's something that we talked about at Michigan Center, but I do think this team would be very different if they didn't have the injuries challenges they had. But every team throughout the year has to deal with injuries. I mean, I go back to them. It's the very same conversation we had when it was with Columbia Central. Like, getting these young men to believe in themselves and believe that this is a winning football program, I think could be just a game changer for their program. And we know there's talent. Every year at Jackson High, there's talent. Can they put that together? Can they believe in themselves? Can they play against a team like Chelsea and believe that they can win? That's a question mark. Yeah. Can you do that? And if as soon as that will change for them, and they believe when they walk into that game that we can win this game, and if they can go and execute and actually beat a team like that, I think it's a complete game changer. But they tend to, we've seen it, they tend to make a couple mistakes, face some adversity, and then just shut down. And if Coach Antonio Parker and his staff can get them to avoid that, face adversity, overcome it, watch out, because the Vikings could be really tough. Yeah,
game's going okay, 1 or 2 mistakes, they get down on themselves, and then from there on, it goes down like that. Yep. So, and one thing we were talking about the Cascades earlier, forgot to mention too. Addison's got a second-year coach, Harry Bailey, who's first year last year, but Going to be switching up the offense a little bit this year. They had the T last year. Not much of a change from when Coach Lindemann was there before him, but that was really just a later hire in the offseason, and just not switching a ton from last year. They still went 4-5, made the playoffs, lost to Springport in the first round. But it'd be interesting to see completely different look potentially for Addison.
Well, it's going to return it back to what it was, right? I mean, so Coach Bailey tried to bring in more of a spread look with this Panther team, and now going back to more of a traditional wing tee, which I think the fans around Addison will appreciate a whole lot more. Yeah. They saw some more success. But when you ask Coach Bailey, I mean, it was just he looks at his personnel and believes that this is the best way to go. And I can always appreciate a coach who goes against their own philosophy and scheme based on the personnel that they have. So I
Napoleon did that going into last year. Yep. They knew they lost Grant Bradley, who they had at quarterback. They had all the track stars, at wide receiver, but they didn't have that. And they, personally as a coach, I like to do this, but because I don't have the players to do this, we have to do this.
And it worked really well for them.
It did.
And if you can get the buy-in, it's a great offense for teams that can buy in and play that type of unselfish football. If you can do that, it can work out really well for you. We saw Josh Lindemann have a ton of success with Addison for the previous 10 seasons. So it'll be great to see if Coach Harry Bailey can get that going for the Panthers out of Western. I mean, because this team's made the playoffs 6 straight seasons. They're going to try to compete for another spot this year in D8.
And the team that they lost to in the first round last year in Division 8, Springport. I expect another great year from Springport. They got they had a big junior class that'll be seniors this year. Coach Ben Pack, nice job with them year one. I'm excited to watch them.
Maybe comparing Division 8 school to some of our larger D1, D2 schools, right? Might be the most impressive team that walked in at media days. I was really impressed
I think so.
with Ben Pack and the young men that he brought. 8-3 season last year. I truly believe that this team is competing for a Big 8 championship. They were close last year, so there's really no reason to think that. But I mean, if I look at that, they have to be the favorite. They returned 5 starters on offense, 7 on defense, and this is a really talented team. And Coach Pack having a lot of success in the offseason. 82% participation from his team, from his program in summer workouts, which is incredible. I think those are statistics that coaches in the area would love to have 82% of their 9 through 12 participating in their work. So love what he's doing out there, and they're going to be tough. So they're going to be fun to watch in Big 8 play, and look forward to see if they can actually secure that Big 8 championship.
Week 1 to kick off JTV's 26th season of high school football. Thursday the 28th will be live from Parma. Western High School taking on the Jackson High Vikings. Also really excited, of course, with high school, college coming back soon. Looking forward to Michigan Saturdays again. It's going to be an interesting year for Michigan.
I think it's going to be a great year.
I mean, I hope you never know, though. Freshman quarterback, if something happens to him, who is going to play, that we've got 7 different quarterbacks, but who's going to play quarterback? What are the other skill positions going to look like? This will be interesting. That's really all.
And then it's like, then you have the storyline of the Lions too, which we're kind of in a weird spot, right? New coordinators on both sides of the ball, so it's interesting. I don't know where the Lions are going to be. And they have a really tough schedule. If you look at the schedules, they have one of the toughest schedules in football, too. So a lot of question marks going into this year.
Yeah, they start week 1 with a really, really tough game.
Well, that's going to be easy. Yeah. get through the Packers, and then we'll talk about the
I might be going to that. We're still talking about that. Yeah,
wow.
Maybe.
I love that Michigan comes in with very little expectations. Nobody's talking about them nationally, and I think this is going to be a really talented football team that's going to make it tough on a whole bunch of teams this year. So I'm excited to see them play.
Not a ton of people were talking about them. I know before that they were coming off the national championship, but everybody knew they were losing.
Nobody thought they were going to beat Ohio State last year.
And then Alabama.
Right.
Back-to-back games.
Yeah,
so.
I'll let Illinois get all of this talk about playoffs, which is being crazy to me. Call me in 16 weeks. Maybe it's a whole different story, but I just can't see it. But I believe at the end of the year, Michigan's going to be in a really good spot.
All right, well, we're looking forward to what year will this be for you, by the way, before we go with
It's 13
JTV?
13 or 14. I think it's I think this will be the 14th season, I believe. It might be the 13th, but I think it's 14th.
And I started doing games, I think, a year
He's
before
1 year
you.
before me. Yep.
Yep. So this will be seventh football season for me
You're old.
already. I'm excited for it. So week 1, Jackson High at Western will have that on JTV. Thursday night football to kick off the season. So, of course, all of our longtime sponsors, all of our longtime partners with JTV, we certainly appreciate it. So looking forward to first week of the season. Good media days as always. And looking forward to seeing you guys again in a couple of weeks for start of the season. So
That's great. Thanks, David. Thanks, Adam.
yeah. Thanks to Josh Burgett from JTV Sports, and looking forward to week 1 as we kick off JTV's 26th season of high school football coverage. We'll be right back after this. JTV Sports as we continue our coverage from 2025 JTV Football Media Days. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. Here with us now from the Brooklyn Columbia Central Golden Eagles head coach Dylan Zaborowski and number 70 Dylan Boone, the two Dylans on the show today. Appreciate you guys joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
3-6 last year, but lost 3 games. It was really all except one. Competitive though in all those games. 3 games lost by single digits. What'd you learn, and maybe both of you can answer this, what'd you guys learn from those games? Maybe it's learned something about yourself as a player or a coach, as a team, but what'd you take away from those close games? I gotta imagine the heartbreak after the first couple. After that, it just was more of a sting. But just overall quick thoughts on last season.
I definitely think the 2 Napoleon games were hard. I just think that with all the like the games that we lose like by that little bit, we just need to like lock down on fourth quarter ball movement, and I feel like the whole team just feels so much pressure once it gets that close and into the fourth quarter, and I think that's the problem. Like you just go out there and play like you were the other 3 quarters. Just have fun with it, and things will work out. And I think instead our team puts so much pressure on themselves in that fourth quarter and then start making simple mistakes.
Coach?
Yeah, I think I would say it taught me that, or I guess taught me in a way that we're not very far away, in the sense that we're competitive in a lot of football games, and now it's really just trying to get over the hump. And I talked to some of the JTV guys about that earlier, and I don't think there's a magic formula to doing that, really.
Right.
I think we have guys that have a lot of experience now in some of those close games and know how it feels to lose those close games. And hopefully, I think the more you expose yourself to that, the more that you're ready to go, right? When it's a tight game in the fourth quarter, you're not so anxious, you're not so stressed out, you're just ready to play football. And, I think that's a major key. I think we're close.
Last year at Media Day, you shared with us, continue to build this program the right way is our goal, competing in everything we do, loving each other, and Chase trying to be the best versions of ourselves on and off the field. I got to imagine that's still a top thing for you and your guys.
It is, right? I think we have unbelievable kids, first of all, and kids that do things the right way. And whether that's football or outside of football, I think we have a really, really good group. And the one that we've fostered and trying to build a lot more is loving each other, in the sense that, whether that's team building stuff, just doing more fun stuff together. Like last year, went away for camp for the first time. I thought it was an awesome experience for our kids. I felt like we grew a little bit closer as a team. I think those things are important. Not to say that kids don't interact or do that stuff with each other anymore, but I think anytime you can get the guys together outside of football or even during football and doing fun things and having fun with your teammates. I think that's important. So no doubt.
Good numbers so far for going into this season. How have the summer workouts and camps gone too?
Yeah, we're in the middle of our team camp here to end the summer. We've been right around 40-ish kids between JV and varsity. I think a little bit above one day, a little bit under one day. Numbers have been good throughout the summer. We've been lifting 3 to 4 days a week, 7-on-7s. Kids are pulled in a lot of different directions during the summer now. Whether it's like Dylan here has been wrestling all over the country, and that's awesome, right? And I'm not gonna ever tell a kid don't go do that. And so they're pulling in a lot of different directions. But with all things considered, I think the numbers have been really good.
Each team, you have 5 to 6 returning on offense around the same on defense. So you have some experience coming back, but still each team is different and each year is different. What's it been like with working with this year's team so far? Because most teams they have guys coming back, different each year, but each team is different.
Yeah, each team is different. Not to use a different word, but the vibe of each team is a little different, right?
Right.
I think this year we have a good group. We have a decent amount of younger kids that are stepping up and making plays, and a lot of guys I think that are eager to get out there and play varsity football. So that's been kind of refreshing. In the past, we've had a lot of seniors, guys that have kind of been through the motions, if you will. So it's nice to see guys try to get out there and compete a little bit, trying to earn a varsity spot, trying to earn a starting spot. The summer has been really good, and I've enjoyed these guys so far, no doubt.
So, I feel like you guys are pretty close, with you guys were close last year, had a couple losses, but what do you guys think is the thing you improved the most going into this season? What's your biggest improvement?
This season, biggest improvement, I guess over the summer, we've been putting in a lot of work, but like he was talking about earlier, like being a team, like I think this year, I've been on this varsity team since I was a freshman, and this year the boys that we have this year, we definitely have the most like chemistry together. We're a family, and I think that's going to help us a lot this year. I think, especially last year, we struggled with that a little bit, but this year I think that's definitely going to help us.
That's awesome. And I asked this to everybody, so I got to know, what is each of you guys' favorite NFL player of all time?
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure here.
I got to think about it a little bit. You go.
It's tough. I've always been a Lions guy. I'm a diehard Lions fan. I would say Kelvin Johnson is certainly one. Just so fun to watch play. Now, I wish they would have won a few more games back in that era, but I loved him and Matthew Stafford. Then, if I was going somebody without the Lions, I'm diehard Michigan State fan. But I will say I loved watching Tom Brady. Just competitor and did things the right way and worked really hard, and awesome seeing a guy, come from that to being the greatest quarterback of all time. So.
Yeah, 199 overall.
Yeah.
And then look at that.
No doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
We've gotten some really good answers on that.
Yeah, we've had
questions.
of course, like Barry Sanders and stuff, but we've had like Priest Holmes and stuff like that. So it's like we've had some good
Interesting.
ones.
Yeah. They went way back with that answer. Too.
Yeah.
I think my all-time favorite NFL player probably J.J. Watt.
Oh,
okay.
Great answer. Yeah.
I just love like everything about him. How he never stops. He's the meanest guy on the field every time. Another one would probably be Von Miller.
Oh yeah.
Loved him growing up.
Yep.
Especially when he was with the Broncos.
That
Loved
Super
him.
Bowl, man, he was lights out. Yeah, for sure.
Still a diehard Lions fan, but like those guys are just unbelievable.
Everybody's got a couple of those guys that aren't on the Lions that's just like, oh, I wish we could have them.
Yeah.
Like they're so good. No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
2 close games. You guys played Napoleon twice last year. I know that's the biggest. I know you guys also mentioned earlier Center, Grass Lake, or a couple of the other games circled, but that Napoleon rivalry is unlike most other games, and you guys had Napoleon twice last year, both close losses, but what's it going to take to get you guys ready for week 1, start off the season with this rivalry, right down the road, get this win? What's it going to take to get ready for that?
Getting ready for Napoleon definitely hurts from last year, but getting ready for this year, I think we all got to be locked in. Like we all have to be connected and on the same page, like throughout the whole game though, because what I said earlier, we struggled in that fourth quarter. I think every one of our players on our team should just want to go out there and just want to dominate every single play of the game. And I think sometimes we'll get a bad play and our team will get down or start to doubt stuff. And I think no matter what happens the play before, every single play, we want to go out there and dominate. And I think that we're going to have to get our team in that mindset for this year's Napoleon game.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that, Napoleon's, they've changed throughout the years. Now, last year running the straight T, it's tough to prepare for, right? And you have to be really fundamentally sound, and you have to know that, hey, we're going to give up a 12-yard run, a 15-yard run on occasion, but we also have to have our fair share of limiting them to 1-yard runs, 2-yard runs, and being really fundamentally sound. And hopefully that's where we're going to be. I thought we did a pretty good job the first time we played them last year. Granted, they were still kind of putting their stuff together on offense and kind of new running that. By week 9, they kind of had it figured out, and so if you watch those 2 games, pretty contrasting games where first time we played them, both teams did a pretty darn good job on defense. Second time, there wasn't much defense played at all. So, it's one that we look forward to every single year. One that we have to win, and we know that, and one that we want to win. And I'm sure they're saying the same thing. And it's kind of cool that it's week 1 again this year. That both teams working throughout the summer, throughout the off season. I'm sure they're breaking it down on beat Columbia Central. We're breaking it down on beat Napoleon, and and that's something that we look forward to, no doubt.
Columbia Central taking on Napoleon to begin the 2025 season, thanks to number 70 Dylan Boone and head coach Dylan Zaborowski. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Welcome back here on JTV. Thank you to Josh Burgett, as always. Good first year with the Pirates softball program. Looking forward to maybe doing another live softball game or 2 or 4 or 5 next year. So thanks to Josh. Thanks to Dylan Boone and Coach Zaborowski from Columbia Central for joining the show as well. We appreciate it. We'll have more Football Media Day interviews next week. We'll have... I'll tell you in a second who we're going to have on as our guest next week. But we'll have a couple more special guests from our team on before the season, and we'll have more Media Day interviews. So you can go back to any of the other ones you missed, this full show online or listen on the podcast, or any of the specific interviews as well. So before we go, Jackson Junior Golf Tour, the latest stop happened earlier this week on Monday at Pine Hollow. We have results on our Facebook page under David Rice Show and JTV Sports Facebook, and we have photos online on our website at jtv.tv. Only one more stop left on the R.W. Mercer Junior Golf Tour for 2025. So anything else? Tigers got a good win Tuesday against the Twins.
They did, and they're still rolling. Still one of the best records in the AL. Last I looked, they were either tied or they were right there with the best record.
They're still up in the Central by 8 games.
Yep, but in the whole American League, I'm pretty sure they're still tied for the best. So it's hey, can't complain there. To get back into the football mood, I'm the game master, and I bring all the games to the show. I have a game for you. Oh
no, I thought we were moving. Okay,
we'll still go quick. So I'll try to help you out. But it's most
Was this on the fly you came up with? Or
yes,
what? Okay.
most fumbles in the NFL since 2020.
Specific position or any player?
It's any player, but I will tell you they all are quarterbacks. We just need top 5 from you.
Top 5. Okay. I'm going to try to do
Three
it
of
by...
them,
I'm
three
gonna
of them
guess.
run a lot. That's what I'll say. 3 of them run a lot.
Okay. Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson is actually 7th on the list, and we're looking for the top
Okay.
5. But you're in the right area. This is
Okay,
since 2020.
Going by division, AFC North Ravens, Joe Burrow.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Is it a Browns quarterback?
It isn't, but here's a guy that is on a new team this year, and he used to be in the AFC North. Runs a lot.
Russell Wilson?
No, Russell Wilson is somewhere on the list, I think, but he is 12th. Joe Burrow's 13th. This guy
Used to be in the AFC.
he used to be a Steeler as well.
Used to be a Steeler.
Yes. Runs a lot. Used to be a Bear.
A-
Bears quarterback. Runs the ball.
Why am I blanking on this?
Justin Fields.
Justin
Fields is 4th.
Well, that's why, because he's not good. That's why I
That's true.
can tell.
Super Bowl champion last year.
Mahomes?
Last year.
Oh, Hurts. Sorry.
Yes,
Last
Jalen
year.
Hurts is 3rd. Who's everybody says he's like a little gnat running around the field, little small guy.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray's number 2. Number 5's tough because I wouldn't think of this guy, but number 5's Baker Mayfield,
Okay.
which is interesting. Number one quarterback with the most fumbles. This is hard, so I'll just give it to you because this is not a rushing quarterback. It's going to be Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins
Okay.
is number 1.
You do not like that.
Yeah, he doesn't like that. I think that's hilarious, but so
He
I
is
like
the
it.
most expensive backup quarterback ever.
He's had 48 fumbles since 2020. So in a 5-year span, he's had 48
That's
fumbles.
averaging out to almost 12 a season. So that's one almost every other game.
It's nuts.
For a guy that doesn't run,
Yeah.
one almost every other game. That's not good.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, he is the highest paid backup because
Yep.
Michael Penix is
That's
going
right.
to start.
That's right. The Penix.
But now he can't go anywhere though because he's getting paid too
Yeah.
much.
Well, I wouldn't want to go anywhere either. If I was getting paid like that.
You'd want to. Well, I guess if you're getting paid that much, I'm gonna say if you weren't getting paid as much, you don't want to play for the Falcons.
No. I might rather play for no one than the Falcons. I'll just say that.
I'd rather root for the Lions and play for the Falcons.
Whoa! Well, you heard him. You heard it here first, folks.
Can't believe I said that.
You
All
did.
right. Thank you, the Insurance Circle Agency. Thanks to Josh Burgett. Thanks to Columbia Central head coach and their team. We appreciate it. We'll see if we make it on their bar stool again
Yeah,
this year. That's Adam. I'm David. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye bye.